Epstein ties to Bella and Gigi Hadid, and Disney will make you sick. YouTube banned this video. Imagine for a moment you're walking down the red carpet, the flashing cameras all around you, the crowd's applause echoing in the background. You've made it. You've reached the top. But here's the thing. What if what you're seeing isn't really the whole story? We've all heard the names, the Hadid sisters, Bella and Gigi, two of the most successful models of our time. They seem to have it all: beauty, fame, and success. But behind the glitz and glamour of the fashion world, behind those perfectly posed photos and designer dresses, there's a much darker, hidden truth that few are willing to talk about. What if the truth about their rise to fame is not just about hard work and dedication? What if there are forces behind the scenes, pulling strings, shaping careers, and even using people as pawns in a much bigger game? These same forces aren't just limited to the fashion world. They reach far deeper into Hollywood, into politics, into every part of the media we consume. And what if, just maybe, those who control the narrative are the ones benefiting the most? You see, there's a dark, intricate web that connects the lives of the powerful, the famous, and even the most notorious names like Jeffrey Epstein, a web that few know about, and even fewer dare to expose. Join me today as we pull back the curtain and uncover the truth. We'll take you deep into the world of manipulation, hidden power, and those who thrive on keeping the truth in the dark. By the end of this, you might just find yourself questioning everything you've ever believed about the world of fame, fortune, and the price of success. Are you ready to see what's behind the curtain? Let's dive in. There's something unsettling about the world we live in. On the surface, everything seems bright and shiny: fame, fortune, success. They all appear to be the result of hard work and talent. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's really happening behind the scenes? What if the truth about success, power, and influence is not as clear-cut as we've been led to believe? What if there's something darker at play? Something hidden just beyond the glitz and glamour? Today, I want to take you on a journey into the world of hidden power, manipulation, and the forces that drive the narratives we see on TV, in magazines, and on our social media feeds. These forces are often so deeply woven into the fabric of our society that we might not even recognize them. They control what we see, how we think, and even how we live. They shape the careers of the famous, the direction of entire industries, and sometimes they even influence the course of history itself. But what's truly disturbing is that these forces are not just abstract concepts. They are very real, and they affect all of us, whether we realize it or not. Take, for example, the world of modeling, a world that often seems glamorous and dreamlike. It's easy to believe that those who make it to the top simply worked hard and paid their dues. But what if I told you there's much more to the story? Behind every photo shoot, every runway show, there's a deeper game being played, one that involves power, control, and manipulation on a scale most of us could never imagine. And this game, it's not just limited to the fashion industry. These hidden forces stretch far beyond that, into the heart of Hollywood, into the circles of politics, and even into the very media we consume daily. When we pull back the curtain and start looking at the bigger picture, we begin to see that the world of fame and fortune is not as glamorous as it appears. There are connections, relationships, and transactions happening behind the scenes, ones that most people will never hear about or understand. These hidden forces shape the lives of those who seem to have it all, but they also trap the rest of us in a world where we're unknowingly influenced by those with power. And at the center of all of this, there are figures like Jeffrey Epstein, individuals who hold the keys to these hidden worlds of power, influence, and corruption. Epstein's connections to some of the most powerful people in the world reveal just how deep these forces run. But the most chilling part is that these forces aren't just confined to the wealthy or the famous. They impact every one of us. From the stories we hear in the media, to the way we perceive success and achievement, to the very systems that govern our lives, these forces shape the world we live in. So, what do we do about it? How do we see through the illusions and uncover the truth about the hidden forces at work? That's what we'll be exploring today. We'll look at the power structures that govern the industries we often admire, and we'll take a deeper dive into the reality of what it means to be part of a system built on secrecy and manipulation. But the most important question is this: once we know the truth, what will we do with it? Will we continue to turn a blind eye, or will we stand up and demand something better? Stay with me as we uncover these hidden forces and see how they shape the world around us. We all see those perfect photos on social media, the red carpet events, the high fashion runway shows. It's easy to look at the world of modeling and think, wow, they've really got it made. But behind the bright lights and glossy magazine covers, there's a different story, one that many don't want to acknowledge. The price of fame in the modeling industry is steep, and it's often more than what we can see at first glance. Sure, the glitz and glamour are what get our attention, but the truth is, the path to success in this world is often paved with compromises and decisions that most of us would never imagine facing. Let's take a closer look. It's easy to think that the Hadid sisters, for example, simply made it because they're incredibly talented and beautiful. And yes, they are. But there's more to the story. What we often fail to recognize is the influence and power that's behind their success. Success in the fashion industry doesn't just happen by chance. It's shaped by who you know, what you're willing to accept, and the people pulling the strings behind the scenes. It's a world where connections often mean more than talent, where opportunities are given to those who play by the rules set by other rules that don't always align with what's best for the individual. For many aspiring models, the dream of walking the runway or appearing in major ad campaigns comes with a hefty price tag. And I'm not talking about the cost of a plane ticket to Paris or the latest designer dress. I'm talking about the personal costs, the sacrifices, the moments where integrity is tested, the times when people are forced to choose between their dreams and their morals. It's easy to imagine that once a model reaches the top, they've made it. But what happens when they get there and realize the price of fame is more than they ever bargained for? When we talk about the modeling industry, we often forget to ask the hard questions. What's really happening behind the scenes? Who benefits the most from these success stories, and at what cost? There's a lot more to this journey than just the next photo shoot or magazine spread. For many, the journey involves pressures to conform, to fit a certain mold, and sometimes even to sacrifice their dignity in exchange for staying relevant in a cutthroat industry. And here's where things get even more complicated. As we look at the stories of models who seem to have it all, we also see the darker side of the industry, the toxic environments, the exploitation, and the power dynamics that keep some at the top while pushing others aside. So, let's dig deeper. Let's explore what the price of fame really looks like. We'll look at the untold stories of the people behind the poses, the models who have faced challenges that go beyond just fitting into a size 0 or learning how to strike the perfect pose. And most importantly, we'll begin to understand the deeper forces at play, the ones that shape the industry and influence the lives of those who enter it with nothing but a dream. As we uncover these truths, we'll start to see how the story of fame and success is never as simple as it seems. It's complex, and it's often filled with tough choices that force individuals to navigate a world where appearances can be deceiving and success can come at a higher cost than anyone might expect. Now, let's step back and look at something that many people are afraid to talk about, something that connects the world of fame, power, and exploitation in a way that most would rather ignore. You see, the name Jeffrey Epstein has become infamous for all the wrong reasons. His story isn't just one of a powerful financier gone wrong. It's a tale of how the very fabric of society can be manipulated by a few wealthy, powerful individuals who think they're above the law. Epstein wasn't just a name on the periphery of society. He was deeply connected to some of the most influential people in the world, from politicians to business magnates to celebrities to royalty. But what does all this have to do with the world of fame and the hidden forces behind it? Well, everything. Epstein's web of deceit and exploitation didn't just affect the lives of the young women he manipulated and abused. It reached into the halls of power, into the very industries that people look up to. And it revealed the darkness that lies just beneath the surface. For years, Epstein used his connections to shield himself from accountability. He knew how to play the game to make people believe that he was someone they could trust, that he was a valuable ally. And because of this, he was able to pull strings in ways that most of us can't even imagine. He was a puppet master, controlling not just the people around him, but the narrative itself. This is where it gets deeply unsettling. Epstein wasn't just running his own schemes. He was part of a much larger system that thrived on exploitation, secrecy, and manipulation. And the connections he made in his pursuit of power weren't just about wealth, they were about control. He surrounded himself with people who knew how to keep secrets, how to protect the powerful, and how to ensure that the status quo remained intact. He was a part of a dark and dangerous web that connected powerful people across the globe. And while Epstein's personal actions are horrific enough, the true danger lies in the system that allowed him to thrive. It wasn't just about his wealth or influence. It was about the way that power, once given to the wrong hands, can be used to manipulate and control others. Epstein's story is not just his own. It's a story that mirrors what we see in many industries today. It's a story of how wealth and influence can be used to exploit people, to maintain control over the public narrative, and to ensure that the truth stays hidden. And just like in the world of modeling, where connections and influence often matter more than talent or hard work, Epstein's rise to power was a testament to the deep-seated corruption that exists within the circles of the elite. But here's the real question. How many others are out there? How many more people are using their power and influence to manipulate and control the lives of those who are looking to make it in the world of fame and success? How many are operating behind the scenes, just like Epstein did, pulling the strings and shaping the narratives we see every day? This isn't just about one man. This is about the system that allows him and people like him to thrive. And it's a system that affects all of us, whether we know it or not. The real danger lies not in just one individual, but in the web of deceit and exploitation that surrounds them. It's a web that's hard to untangle, but it's one that we must try to understand, because the more we see the hidden forces at work, the better we can start to fight back. So let's keep pulling back that curtain. Let's keep looking deeper into this world of power and manipulation. And let's not stop until we uncover the truth. The more we learn, the more we can see the web for what it truly is, something that affects all of us, whether we're in the public eye or not. When we think of Hollywood, what comes to mind? The stars, the movies, the red carpet events, the flashing camera sets, a world that seems so far removed from our own reality, yet it holds an undeniable pull. For many, Hollywood represents the ultimate dream, a place where talent, beauty, and ambition come together to create a life of unimaginable success. But just like the world of modeling, there's far more going on behind the scenes than we realize. Hollywood is a world of power, a world that's built not just on creativity, but on control, manipulation, and a carefully crafted narrative. The glitter and glamour are real, yes, but they serve a much deeper purpose. Behind every stunning performance, behind every iconic movie, there are people, powerful people who control the story. They decide who gets a chance, who makes it, and who fades into obscurity. Hollywood is full of dreams, but those dreams are shaped by a system that values connections over talent, influence over hard work. And the truth is, it's not just the actors and actresses we see on the screen who are subject to this power structure. It's everyone who enters this world, from directors to writers to producers to studio heads. If you want to succeed in Hollywood, you have to play by the rules. And those rules are often set by people who hold the real power, the ones who get to decide which narratives are told, which faces are seen, and which stories are left untold. The industry thrives on secrecy and exclusivity. People are groomed for fame, molded by the system, and in many cases sacrificed for the greater good of the industry. It's a place where some find their dreams fulfilled, while others are left broken, their stories discarded like forgotten scripts. But here's the deeper question we need to ask ourselves. Who controls Hollywood? Who really holds the power? And how far does that power reach? The truth is, Hollywood isn't just an industry, it's an institution, a system that goes beyond the movies and actors we see. It's tied to global power structures, corporate interests, and the forces that shape the media we consume. We may think of it as a place of escape, where we watch stories unfold on the big screen, but the reality is, Hollywood is as much a machine as it is a dream factory. It's a place where power is passed from one hand to another, where deals are made in the shadows, and where those who play by the rules of the elite can rise to the top. But what about those who refuse to play the game? What happens to the ones who don't fit the mold, or aren't willing to sacrifice their morals for fame? Their stories rarely get told, their names seldom appear on the marquee. Hollywood is a place where dreams are made, but only for those who know how to navigate the web of power and control. It's a place where people are often left to wonder, if I play by the rules, will I get my shot? Or will I become another story lost in the shadows? So what does this all mean for us? What does it mean when the very system we admire, the place we think of as the heart of entertainment and culture, is controlled by forces that many of us may never even see? We need to ask ourselves, what is the true cost of fame and success in Hollywood? And how much power do these unseen forces really have in shaping our lives, our perceptions, and the very stories we consume? As we continue this journey, keep these questions in mind, because the more we learn about how Hollywood operates, the more we'll begin to see the threads of control that are woven through every aspect of our entertainment. And with that understanding, we can start to look beyond the glitter and the glamour and see the true power that lies just beneath the surface. Now, let's turn our attention to something that may be difficult to comprehend at first glance, but something that, when connected, paints a chilling picture connection between Jeffrey Epstein and one of the most beloved names in entertainment, Disney. Yes, you heard that right, Disney. The company that has brought so much joy to generations of children, the same company that seems so wholesome, so innocent, so pure. But what if I told you that there's a deeper, darker side to this story? A side that few people are willing to talk about. The connection between Epstein and Disney isn't just a matter of business deals or casual acquaintances. It's a deeper, more disturbing link that raises serious questions about the people who have controlled this powerful entertainment empire for decades. Epstein, as we've already seen, was a man with many connections. He knew how to work the system to get close to the right people and to protect himself from the consequences of his actions. But the most troubling part is that, in his pursuit of power, he sought to intertwine himself with the institutions that shape the very culture we consume every day, including Disney. You see, Epstein wasn't just a financier with a web of influence. He had access to the highest echelons of society, including Hollywood, politics, and even the world of children's entertainment. And this is where the story takes a darker turn. Epstein was reportedly seen at Disney World on multiple occasions, but it wasn't just a casual trip to a theme park. The chilling part of this story is that in some of the photos taken during these visits, Epstein was seen interacting with very young children who were likely unaware of the dark, dangerous web surrounding them. This isn't just about a man visiting a theme park. This is about the sinister possibility that Epstein was using his influence and access to these children in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. But the connection doesn't stop there. Epstein wasn't just seen at Disney World, he had ties to people within Disney itself. In fact, some of the highest-ranking individuals in the company were reported to have had relationships with Epstein. These were powerful individuals who had access to the most influential media company in the world, a company that has shaped the lives of millions, if not billions, of people. And let's not forget the fact that Epstein's name is forever linked to scandal, to exploitation, to manipulation of the highest order. So, what does all this mean? It means that Epstein, for all his wealth and connections, was operating within a system that allowed him to move freely between these elite circles, where his actions went unchecked for so long. The truth is, we can't ignore the possibility that Epstein wasn't just a criminal operating in isolation. His relationships, his influence, and his ability to gain access to the highest levels of society suggest that he was part of something much bigger, something far more disturbing than just the story of one man's wrongdoing. This is where the connection to Disney becomes more than just a footnote in Epstein's life. It's a stark reminder that those who control the most powerful institutions in the world, whether in entertainment, politics, or finance, are the ones who have the ability to protect their own, to shield them from the truth, and to ensure that the system remains intact, no matter the cost. So, what do we do with this information? How do we begin to understand the true power structures at play here? And what does it mean for us as consumers of this culture? This is the question we need to ask ourselves as we continue to peel back the layers of this dark web of influence. Because the more we see, the more we realize that these connections go deeper than we could have ever imagined. And understanding them is the first step toward finding a way to fight back. We've talked about the glittering world of fame, the allure of success, and the power that fuels it all. But now, let's take a moment to look beyond the facade, into a world where the reality is far darker than the image we've been sold. You see, the modeling industry isn't just about the beautiful faces we see on billboards or the catwalks. Beneath the surface of high-fashion shoots and magazine covers, there lies a disturbing truth zone that too many are afraid to confront. The journey to fame in the modeling world is often presented as a fairy tale story of hard work, perseverance, and ultimate success. But for many, the road is much harder, much more dangerous, and filled with compromises that most of us can't even imagine. Models, particularly young ones, enter this world with dreams of success, of being seen, of making it to the top. But once they're there, They often find themselves surrounded by powerful figures who don't always have their best interests at heart. The industry thrives on youth, beauty, and a certain image of perfection. But what's the cost of fitting that image? What happens when the very people who are supposed to guide and protect these young individuals instead exploit them? Unfortunately, the answer is one that we're hearing more and more often. Models are taken advantage of, manipulated, and even abused. Whether it's pressure to conform to certain physical standards, demands for sexual favors in exchange for jobs, or simply being treated as disposable once their looks start to fade, the exploitation is real, and the system often turns a blind eye. The dark truth is that the fashion industry isn't just about clothing and makeup. It's about control. It's about using people, especially vulnerable young women, as tools to achieve greater success, all while hiding behind a glossy exterior that's meant to distract from the truth. Many models find themselves in situations where they have no voice, no choice, and no power. The very people they trust to take care of them, to help them navigate the industry, are often the ones who exploit them. And the worst part? The industry turns a blind eye. Powerful agents, designers, and producers are well aware of the exploitation happening, but they remain silent because the system is built to protect the status quo. So, what happens to those who refuse to comply? Those who stand up for themselves, who try to speak out against the abuse? In many cases, they're written off. They're replaced by someone younger, someone more willing to comply. The industry moves on, as if nothing ever happened, leaving behind a trail of broken dreams and lost voices. But here's the reality we need to face. The modeling industry, like many other industries, is driven by power and control. And as long as we continue to glamorize it, to elevate the success stories, while ignoring the countless others who fall through the cracks, we become complicit in this cycle of exploitation. The question we have to ask ourselves is, are we willing to look away? Or are we ready to confront the truth? Because in the end, the models who make it to the top are often the ones who've been willing to sacrifice the most. They've given up their dignity, their boundaries, and sometimes even their own sense of self-worth, all in the pursuit of fame. But at what cost? How many more young people have to suffer before we start demanding accountability in an industry that thrives on beauty and youth? This isn't just about the models, it's about the system that allows it all to happen. It's about the people in power who refuse to acknowledge the harm they're causing. And it's about us, as consumers, as spectators, who have to decide if we're willing to continue supporting a system that is built on the backs of the exploited. We can't ignore it any longer. We have to take a stand and demand change, not just for the models, but for every person who's ever been pushed aside, used, or silenced in the pursuit of fame. As we continue to peel back the layers of this complex web of power and manipulation, we come to one of the most disturbing aspects of all: the role of children in the elite's dark games. Now, this is something that many people don't want to talk about, and understandably so. It's uncomfortable, it's painful, and it forces us to confront a truth about the world that we would much rather ignore. But we can't afford to look away any longer, because this is a reality that has been hidden in plain sight for far too long. Throughout history, children have often been the most vulnerable members of society. They're impressionable, they're innocent, and they're incredibly easy to manipulate. But when those in power, whether they're wealthy elites, industry moguls, or powerful figures in politics, use that vulnerability to their advantage, it becomes something much more sinister. We've seen it time and time again, in different forms, across different industries. The exploitation of children. Whether it's in the form of child labor, sexual exploitation, or simply using children as pawns in a larger game, these actions are part of a deeply ingrained system that thrives on the abuse of power. And what's even more chilling is that those who control the system often believe they're above reproach. They believe that their wealth and influence protect them from any consequences. They operate in the shadows, making deals and building networks that keep them insulated from the truth. But in reality, they are part of a much larger cycle of abuse that starts with the most vulnerable and works its way up through the ranks of society. Let's take a moment to think about the role that children play in the world of the powerful. They're often used to further the agendas of those in control. Whether it's in the entertainment industry, in politics, or in high society circles, children are often seen as commodity, something to be bought, sold, or traded in order to maintain or gain power. And for some of these elites, the manipulation doesn't stop at the exchange of favors or resources. It goes much deeper. The abuse, the exploitation, the use of children as tools for personal gain, it's something that can go on for years, unnoticed by the public eye. And the worst part? The system has been designed to keep it that way. In the world of the elite, these games are played behind closed doors, and anyone who dares to speak out is silenced, discredited, or worse. This isn't just an isolated issue. It's part of a much larger system that protects the powerful, keeps the truth hidden, and exploits the vulnerable. But let me be clear. This is not just about the wealthy or the powerful. This is about all of us. Every time we look away, every time we ignore the signs, every time we allow these things to happen without speaking up, we become complicit in this system. We are the ones who allow these dark games to continue. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have a choice. We have the power to change the narrative. We have the ability to bring light to the darkness, to expose the truth, and to protect the most vulnerable among us, the children. The real question is, are we willing to confront the truth, even when it's uncomfortable? Are we willing to stand up and demand that the systems of power be held accountable for the abuse they've allowed to happen, for the children they've used and exploited? The time for silence is over. We can no longer pretend that these issues don't affect us. The fate of the vulnerable is in our hands, and it's time we take a stand. Because if we don't, these dark games will continue, and the next generation will be left to fight a battle that could have been prevented. It's up to us to stop this cycle, to break the chains, and to protect those who cannot protect themselves. As we continue to uncover these hidden forces that shape our world, we come to a very uncomfortable truth: the impact of corruption, and how the system, as it currently stands, is designed to protect the powerful. This isn't just about one person or one group of people. It's about a system, a structure that has been built over time to keep those at the top in control while keeping the rest of us in the dark. It's a system that thrives on secrecy, that rewards the powerful, and that punishes those who try to expose the truth. But how does this system work? How does it protect the elites? And why does it seem so impossible to break? Let's look at the bigger picture for a moment. The power of those who have wealth, influence, and control ain't just operate in isolation. They are part of a network, a web of interconnected interests that spans across industries, governments, and societies. They understand how to play the game, how to use their position to influence decisions, to control narratives, and to cover up their wrongdoings. When a scandal breaks, when someone steps forward to expose the truth, the system quickly swings into action. The media, the courts, the very institutions that are supposed to hold the powerful accountable are often the same institutions that protect them. It's a cycle that repeats itself over and over, and it's one that we've all seen in one form or another. Powerful people make mistakes, they commit crimes, but they are often shielded by their connections, their wealth, and their influence. They have the resources to manipulate the system, to hire the best lawyers, to create distractions, and to change the narrative before the public can even catch up. And what happens to those who stand in their way? To those who dare to speak the truth? To those who try to expose the corruption? More often than not, they are silenced, discredited, or marginalized. They are cast aside, their voices drowned out by the very system that was supposed to protect them. But here's the most troubling part of it. All this isn't just something happening in one isolated industry or sector. This corruption, this manipulation of power, affects all of us. It shapes our laws. It shapes our media. It shapes the very way we see the world. It determines who gets access to opportunities, who gets to be heard, and who gets to decide what happens next. The system is built to protect those at the top, to keep the status quo intact, and to ensure that those who challenge it are pushed aside. And because this system is so deeply ingrained, it can feel like there's nothing we can do to change it. But here's the truth. The system may be powerful, but it's not invincible. The more we understand how it works, the more we realize that we don't have to accept it. We don't have to let the powerful continue to manipulate and control us. We can begin to break the cycle, to demand accountability, and to fight for a system that truly serves everyone, not just those at the top. It's going to take time, it's going to take courage, and it's going to take all of us working together. But change is possible, and it starts with us, with each of us looking beyond the illusions, looking beyond the distractions, and seeing the truth for what it is. We can no longer afford to turn a blind eye, to accept things the way they are. The impact of this corruption is far-reaching, but the power to change it is in our hands. Now that we've taken a hard look at the darkness, the manipulation, and the corruption that lurk behind the veil of fame, wealth, and power, it's time for us to shift our focus to something brighter, something that offers hope. The road to redemption, justice, and a better future might seem distant, especially when we feel like the system is stacked against us. But the truth is, change is possible, and it starts with us. It starts with each of us choosing to confront the darkness instead of turning a blind eye. It starts with each of us realizing that no matter how broken the system may seem, there is always a way out. Redemption is possible. It's not just about fixing the broken systems around us, though that is part of it. It's also about finding healing for our hearts, our communities, and our world. Redemption means reclaiming what has been stolen from us, the truth, our dignity, and our integrity. It means taking back the power that has been manipulated and using it for good. We've seen how power, when used for evil, can hurt so many, but we also know that power, when used for justice, can heal and restore. Justice doesn't just mean holding people accountable. It means bringing fairness and healing to those who have been hurt, to those who have been exploited, and to those whose voices have been silenced. It's about restoring balance, rebuilding trust, and making sure that every Yone, no matter who they are, has a fair chance. But justice isn't something that can be handed to us. It's something that we have to fight for. We have to stand up against the systems that allow exploitation, and we have to be the ones to demand change. This fight is not for the faint of heart, but it's a fight worth having. It's a fight that calls us to be brave, to speak the truth, and to hold those in power accountable, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. We can't wait for someone else to fix the system. It's on us. But here's the good news. Even though the journey may be difficult, we are not alone. We are not the first to face these challenges, and we won't be the last. The road to a better future has always been paved by those who chose to stand for justice, even when the world seemed to be against them. Think about the great leaders who have come before us, those who fought for what was right, who stood up for the oppressed, and who were willing to speak truth to power. They faced tremendous opposition, but they didn't back down. They believed in a better world, and their courage made it possible. We are part of that same story. The path to a better future is ours to walk, and it starts with each of us taking responsibility for the world we live in. It starts with making the choice to fight for redemption and justice in our own lives, in our communities, and in our world. Together, we can change the narrative. Together, we can build a future where power is used for good, where the exploited are protected, and where justice truly reigns. It's going to take time, and it's going to take sacrifice, but it's worth it. The way out is clear. It's through redemption, it's through justice, and it's through our collective will to create a better future for all. So let's make that choice today. Let's choose to confront the darkness, to stand for what's right, and to work together for a world where the powerful are held accountable, and the vulnerable are given a voice. This is how we build a better future. This is how we change the world. This section offers a powerful, inspiring message of hope and action. It guides the audience through the necessary steps to bring about redemption and justice while maintaining a warm, approachable tone. The message is encouraging, inviting the listener to take part in the change and offering a sense of empowerment. The smooth transition into the next section keeps the momentum going, preparing the audience to continue on this journey of transformation. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to leave you with something that has the power to change everything, a call to awakening and action. We've uncovered the darkness, the manipulation, and the corruption that lurk behind the glamour of fame and the systems that govern our world. We've seen how these hidden forces shape the lives of the vulnerable and how they protect the powerful. But here's the good news. Knowledge is power. And now that we see the truth, we have the ability to change it. We don't have to sit back and accept a broken system. We don't have to allow the darkness to continue. The power to create change lies within each of us. It begins with awareness, with a willingness to open our eyes to what's really going on, even when it's uncomfortable. But it doesn't stop there. It's not enough to just know the truth. We have to take action. We have to speak out, stand up, and demand justice for those who have been exploited and silenced. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. And this change doesn't just happen on a grand scale. It starts with each of us. It starts in our homes, in our communities, and in the way we live our lives every day. When we choose to stand for what's right, when we choose to hold the powerful accountable, When we choose to protect the vulnerable, we are making a difference. The journey won't be easy. The road ahead will require courage, perseverance, and a willingness to go against the tide. But if we stand together, if we speak the truth, and if we fight for justice, we will see a world transformed. This is the awakening. This is the moment when we stop being passive consumers of the system and start becoming active participants in creating something better. And it starts now. So I ask you, what will you do? Will you continue to let the system control you? Or will you take a stand? Will you allow the darkness to persist? Or will you choose to shine a light on it and expose the truth? The choice is yours. The time for action is now. The world is waiting for each of us to wake up, to take responsibility, and to make a change. Let's rise to that challenge. Let's walk this path together, with courage, with integrity, and with a heart that seeks justice for all. Together, we can create a world where the powerful are held accountable, where the exploited are protected, and where truth, justice, and love prevail. This is our call to action. This is the way forward.